Hello guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. My name is Cara. If you don't know me, before we start, I urge you to like and subscribe because it helps me. And it doesn't cost you anything, come on, let's face it, so please do it. Today we're going to be talking about progressive overload and how to get stronger in general, okay? Both for beginners and for more advanced lifters as well that can experience a plateau, okay? In order to grow your muscles, your glutes, everything, you need to be able to achieve that work towards progressive overload, increasing either reps, sets, weight, or improve your form or range of motion over time. Clear? We got this, perfect. So you got this, tick, that's already, you know a lot about fitness already, okay? First thing that I want you to remember, form is key, okay? Do not do any ego lifting just because you think that you'll make more gains, because that will lead you to injuries, okay? Actually, I'll just be honest completely with you. The other day, I was squatting and I went for like a weight that I haven't done in a while. I tried 110 and my max was 100 and I wasn't feeling particularly strong, but because I was like literally ego lifting, I was like, you know what, I can do it. Just one rep, it won't hurt. It actually hurt my back, okay? So hopefully it's nothing bad and I've been lucky with it, but I could have seriously injured myself, and that is a stupid little move to make, okay? Sometimes it's hard to put your ego aside, but your health always comes first. So don't make the same mistakes as me because you feel like, oh yeah, I want to try. And I was on my own. No one was spotting me, and I was literally, yes, I can do it. I'm going to do it. And then I literally and I just really hurt my back. Anyway, nothing serious. I'm fine. One of the first things that you need to know as well is that you cannot get stronger at an exercise if you keep changing your routine every single week, okay? I tend to do basically almost the same things every single time I train legs. I will change some exercises, but I'll have some staple exercises that I would perform every single week. So if you're a beginner, I would highly recommend focusing on a few exercises such as squats for your glutes. We're talking about growing your legs, so squats. I would say hip thrusts. Hip thrusts are the best. Lunges, okay, lunge variations. I wouldn't really do deadlifts just because, of course, deadlifts is a great compound movement, but they're not the best when it comes to building your glutes. But I'll be showing you all the different exercises in a minute at the gym. Okay, so apologies if you can't hear me very well. Literally, the music is so loud at the gym. It's like a club. Anyway, I thought I'd show you a little bit how to squat for those people that don't know and they're beginners, and I thought I'll just do the main points. So these little things here that just help in case you collapse, okay? And you can't lift the weight up. I know that there will be these ones that will help you, okay? Just basically place the bar just at your comfortable height, because obviously if it's too high you don't want to be going on your tiptoes because that will be uncomfortable, especially when you start going heavier. In terms of the stance that I normally go for, it's slightly wider than my shoulder width apart, okay? And when you descend down with your squat, I want you not to do this with your knees, so never let your knees cave in, so always out, okay? Core brace the whole time. And actually one thing that I recently learned from a power lifter is the breathing, because I thought that breathing is not really important, but actually makes such a difference when you're squatting. So what you want to do when you're squatting, you want to get as much air as possible when you're like standing up. So literally like this, and then hold your breath. Obviously I can't hold it because I'm talking, but you want to like really get as much air as possible when you're standing up. And then release when you stand up again, and then grasp the air again. So basically what happens is that when you do this and really suck in, basically what happens here, your midsection fills itself with a lot of air. So the core becomes more stable. And when you start going heavier, of course if you're a beginner it doesn't really matter, but if you're really going heavy and your core is full with air, then you have a more stable core, and that will help you with your lifts as well, okay? So it's something that it takes a bit of time to get used to, but honestly makes such a difference since I started implementing this breathing technique into my squats as well, because now I'm able to go a little bit heavier. I didn't know I was that heavy, but just because your core gets more stability, you're able to go heavier as well. And then another thing in terms of depth, a lot of people will say to squat as to grasp, but that's not true for everyone, because some people are just simply like not, can you just even see me? I've literally been cutting my head for the first time. So some people are just not able to squat as to grasp, because without rounding your spine, but winking. So I'll just show you the butt wink. You see what am I doing here? So main thing to remember, you get the bar, kind of brace, kind of like squeeze your glutes a little bit, okay, as you're going down. Weight is on your heels and your toes as well, because what I normally do, I just show you, it's a mistake that I still do now actually. I need to actively remind myself not to do this. Your feet need to be stable. Probably the best shoes, I'll put it, I don't even have the best shoes for squatting, but I'll show you what the best are. They're proper squat shoes as well that help you achieve a better depth. But yeah, what I usually used to do, and it's a mistake sometimes I can't even control because it's automatic, but it's wrong. Sometimes I lift my toes like this because I put all the weight on my heels. But that, when you start going heavy, it's fine if you're not going heavy, but when you start going heavy, you'll start losing balance, okay? So it's important you got your feet stabilized and stable on the floor. So on a comfortable position, I like a high bar, which is here just above my traps. I just lift here, just checking if you can see me. And then like other step is spread your feet, shoulder width apart, a little bit actually wider than your shoulder width. Descend down, core brace, breathe. As low as you can. And then breathe out when you come back. Then again, breathe in. I think I literally covered everything with squats. Now on to hip thrusts. Okay, so I just lost balance there. As always, start by positioning yourself against the box. I prefer using a box rather than a bench because it's better for my height. I'm 5'6", so I'm 170 centimeters, that is. So I like to use a smaller elevation just because it's better for me. So just place yourself at the level of your bra strap, aka bottom of your scapula. Elevate yourself, looking forward the whole time, okay, chin tucked in. In terms of positioning, because you might say, how do I position my feet? Well, you will know when your basically shins are verticals, that is the position. If I'm like that, you see, my shins are not vertical anymore. Same thing like this, they're not vertical anymore. So literally play with the position of your feet until your shins are verticals when you come up, because obviously when you come down, they're not going to be vertical. So you go down, tilt at the top, nice squeeze, looking forward the whole time, nothing like this. Otherwise you overextend your spine and your lower back. So the whole time looking forward. Same thing when you got the weight, the bar, you just grab it either side. Nice and simple, okay. And now in terms of lunges instead, which is the other exercise that I told you to practice with. Lunges, very easy. In terms of lunges, I would always recommend doing back lunges instead of forward lunges because they're more glute focused. If you want to focus more on your quads, then you do forward lunges, striding one leg forward. But when we want to target our glutes, back lunges are probably the best. So basically our foot goes back, if it makes sense. So I'm just going to show you very quickly what I mean. So you can see from a standing position, you slightly want to lean forward. So like this, and then back, okay? When you go back as well, so slightly remember to lean forward, and then come back to the same position. Same thing with the other foot. Like, look, when it comes to back lunges, it requires a bit of balance, and I had a terrible balance. So don't worry if you lose a bit of balance when you do these. So literally, so practice then with dumbbells, okay, then a barbell at the squat rack, and then you jump onto split squat as well, okay? But I'll leave you the tutorial for the split squats for another time because Literally the gym is so loud at the moment, they literally blasted the music. And then I want you to focus on a few accessory exercises as well, such as banded exercises. So basically, you could do clams, you could do thigh hydrants, you could do frog pumps, and just really do as many reps as you can with those, okay? Before we start, if you're a beginner, a complete beginner, I want you to start with no weight, okay? You need to work on your form first. It's so important. Try not to rush it too much, because if you're not doing it right and you're adding weight, there is a high risk, a high level that you might get injured, okay? So it's important for us to practice with no weight, body weight, get used to the form and really listen to your body, because you will know if you're doing an exercise that something is wrong. You know that your knees are hurting or your back is hurting, or at least you'll know the next day. That is when you really need to watch your form and just do a little bit of things, or even ask a personal trainer at your gym to help you fix your form as well. Or just join one of my amazing programs where I literally tell you step by step what to do. Video demonstrations and description. 7-day trial, link in the description. Another thing that I want you to do when you start focusing on working on strength, so you already mastered the form, you have a decent range of motion, depth is okay, so now it's time to add weight. And here we move towards more intermediate and advanced lifters, okay? Add weight obviously progressively, so 1 week you could be lifting, I don't know, 30 kilos. I'm just completing it, completely making this up. And then in 2 weeks, you can lift 32 kilos. It's all about the little plates. I'm gonna show you one in a minute. These, okay, you might think they're nothing. These are like 2.5 kilo plate, okay? I don't know if you can see, it's a 2.5. And if you add these, okay, in a bar, they make for 5 kilos. You might think that is nothing, but it is progressive overload, okay? So if in 2 weeks, you add 2.5 kilos, and then the next 2 weeks, 2.5 kilos again, that's already 10 kilos you increased, baby. So that's what I mean, that's what I normally do. This is progress as well. Or even if you add 1.25 plate to each side, it's still progress, okay? When you're working for hypertrophy, which means growth, aka growth for any sort of muscle, glutes, anything you want to grow, you need to aim between 8 to 10 reps, okay? So let's say I'm picking up a weight and I'm doing 100 kilos hip thrust, and I can do 8 reps of that, okay? So hip thrust, 8 reps of that is hypertrophy, okay? Growth, okay? Now, let's say I want to work full strength. So I want to increase strength, so I want to get stronger over time. You don't need to do a lot of reps. You need between 1 to 3 reps, okay? So I'm going to give you my actual example, which is my honest example. My heaviest squats at the moment, my heaviest hip thrusts at the moment are 190 kilos. That is the heaviest weight that I can do. And I don't do loads of reps for this because I'm working on my strength. So for my first set, I usually only do 3 reps. That's it. And that is enough already. When you're increasing the weight, you're doing the heaviest weight you can do, you do less reps. Okay, you don't need to do 10 reps because it's too heavy, you wouldn't be able to lift it. And I want you to work on these little things as well, because you might think, because you're always aiming for 10 to 12 reps all the time, you think that you're not strong enough. No, it's not because you're not strong enough, it's because you're doing too many reps for that weight. So even if you can do 3 reps, that is progress, you're working on your strength. So even people can do 1 rep max, which I'm not a massive fan of 1 rep max, to be fair, unless you want to be a power lifter. I personally, for aesthetic reasons, 3 reps for me is the minimum. I don't really want to do less than 2 reps, but you could also do that. I mean, it's completely up to you. It's completely your own preference. And then there is another category, which is the light rep range, the lightweight high rep range. That means, let's say on one exercise, let's take into consideration squats, for example, right? And I want to go lighter on squats. Let's say I want to do 20 kilos, which is really light. My heaviest squats is 100, okay? So 20 is really low. At that point, because I'm using a really low, like a significant lighter weight than what I normally do. So I normally do 100, which is my heaviest. I do, let's say, 40 kilos actually. Let's say 40. 40 is better. And I want to aim at doing more reps then. So that is when you train for the pump. Okay, pump means when you get a little bit bigger, your glutes get, like the blood gets to your glutes, for example, you get a nice pump. And I will do between 15 to 20 reps. Let's recap everything again for you, because I know they might be confusing, there's a lot of information. So let's do 3 categories here. First category, hypertrophy. Aim for 8 to 10 reps. Okay. Second category, strength. 1 to 3 reps. Third category, training for the pump, 15 to 20 reps. Now you're saying, Chiara, why are you telling me all these? What am I supposed to do with all these? I want you to use, when you plan your session, okay, I want you to use all these techniques for your workout, but not for the same exercise. Let me explain this to you a little bit better. Let's say in a session, in a workout, obviously we don't just do one exercise. I'll just take my session that I also filmed on my YouTube channel if you wanted to check my previous, my full workout, because everything is strategic, okay? So I normally start with activation. So I will normally do the pumping. So for the third category, I start with a lot of reps. So I could do, and if you check my previous videos, you will see my full workouts. I usually always start with 5 hydrants and hip thrust, banded or really lightweight, okay? And because I'm using a really lower, a lighter weight, I usually do 15 to 20 reps, okay? You see what I'm talking about? So that's the first thing crossed over, tick, done, okay? Then I could do my squats, okay? And my hip thrust, and on the same day, okay? But you can't work on strength on both, because your body, first of all, you're human, okay? You can't work on all exercise trying to get as strong as you can and just give 100%. No, you need to pick one exercise, so where you will just literally try and go as heavy as you can, and you have to keep the others moderate to light. You can't strive for strength at all of them, because you just won't physically manage, okay? So what I normally do is that I focus on strength on one exercise for a period of 4 to 6 weeks. So for 4 to 6 weeks, I might choose to get really, really strong at squats, okay? So I would really start and try and go as heavy as I can, 3 reps max, okay, because I can't do any more. For example, 105 kilos, I push, try to get a bit stronger, okay, push. 1, 2, 3 for the first set, and then I usually drop it. Drop the weight from 105 kilos, I could drop it to 90 kilos, and I'll do 5 reps because it's still quite heavy. Then strip off the weight, the plates, I do 80 kilos, and I'll do 10 reps. Other category, tick, tick. So you see how I'm ticking all the 3 categories that I was talking to you about before. It's really important when you do that. And then, because I really worked, I did 105 kilos on my squats, okay? So I can't really aim to do a personal best with hip thrust and try 200 kilos, because at the moment I'm working on squats, okay? So my body is physically tired, it makes sense. I just given my all with squats. I can't give my all with hip thrusts as well. So if I'm doing hip thrust this time, I will probably keep it the same weight. So my maximum at the moment is 190. So I will not try and go heavier and push for heavier, because I already pushed a lot for squats. And I'll probably do 3 reps again for the first set. So you see, 3 reps working for strength. Then I'll strip off the weights, probably from 190, I will go to 180 or 170 and do 10 reps, okay? And then I strip it off again, all over. I would go to my lightest weight, it could be 120 kilos, and I really do a lot of reps. So I could do 15 reps, and that's the other category already ticked. And then for the other workout, for the rest of the workout, I do accessory movements, because we've done a lot, 2 compound movements here. So we started with the 5 hydrants and the banded exercises. We've done squats and hip thrusts, quite heavy, to be fair, moderate, heavy. So for the rest of the session, your body will be exhausted already. So I usually do accessory exercises, something on the cable, and then the abduction as a finisher, and there I'll work on high reps, okay? So whenever you use a light weight, always remember, do more reps. So aiming for that burn feeling, the burn sensation. That is basically that is the optimum way to train and to really achieve growth and to get stronger over time. So I want you to focus when you do your training. I want you to focus on one exercise. I want you to pick one exercise when you're focusing for 4 to 6 weeks. And I want you to focus on getting stronger at that particular exercise while you keep the rest same weight, okay? Same weight or light weight, because you can't be doing everything at once. We're only human. I'm only human after all, okay? So we need to remember that, okay? So let's say you want to pick hip thrust. Is that what you want to pick? Because hip thrust, for example, are my favorite as well. But at the moment, I'm actually focusing on squats, so I keep the hip thrust same weight. So, but let's say you want to focus on hip thrust, okay? On gaining stronger hip thrust for the next 4 to 6 weeks. Fine. Perfect. So every time you do hip thrust, I want you to really work on trying to increase weight. Or obviously, if you can't do 3 reps with that weight, you have to strip it off and just keep working. I would say every 2 to 3 weeks, add those little plates that I told you before, the 2.5 each side. They make a 5 kilos increase on each side overall. So work on those for the next 4 to 6 weeks. And then once you finish this cycle, then you got stronger hip thrust, perfect. Now it's time to work on my squats. So keep the same weight for the hip thrust and start working on squats, same thing. And then just alternate with another exercise that you prefer. So the point is, now, if I'm not doing hip thrusts every single week, how can I get stronger then? You can't. Okay, that's why it's so important to keep those exercises the same every time you do legs. I do hip thrusts 3 times a week, and I've been doing them for years now. I don't change my exercise plan every single time. Now, what you can do every now and again, if you want to like switch up a bit, is include a variation of that exercise. So let's say, what's a variation of a hip thrust? Tell me, what's a variation of hip thrust? I feel like Dora the Explorer right now. What's the variation of hip thrust? A variation of hip thrust is a glute bridge, okay? It's the same family, kind of similar exercise. So you could do that every now and again to just switch it up a little bit. But still, you don't want to do that all the time, okay? So these are the most important things. And if you do this, baby, along with being on a calorie surplus and eating enough, high protein diet, your glutes will be growing. You'll be growing, okay? Anyway, I hope you found this video useful. I tried to be as informative as I could be, so I'd really appreciate if you could like and subscribe for me. But thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next week with another video.